may have taken a little longer than we would have liked, but the 1UP Turbo Truck Series is back in action in 2026 for race number 8 of a 20-race season that has seen a lot of big things happen in the first 7 races. What'll happen in the final 13? It all starts here at a brand new venue for the Turbo Truck Series, Portland International Raceway in the Pacific Northwest. Where for 28 laps, these guys will be able to take on the twists and turns of this beautiful racetrack to see who can come out on top in the Truck Series' big return to action. And alongside me in the booth to bring you all the action for today's race is James Ellison with us for the racing at hand today. Great to have you with us. A brand new venue for these truck drivers and a long time away from their vehicles. This is going to be a big opportunity for everybody in the field to knock their rust off. It is very good to be back.
Oh, absolutely. It's very good to be back, and I will say, yeah, it is going to be a test. And what a test to start with. A new track that has left and right turns. This is going to be an interesting one, and it's going to be even more interesting to see how several of the drivers who have struggled to make races will fare as they try to gather up the points that they've been missing most of the season.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch because for these guys, basically everybody's starting from scratch. Very few of these drivers have experience at Portland, if any of them do. So it's going to be really fun to watch these guys take on the lefts and rights of the Portland International Raceway. But with that being said, we can now bring you the starting lineup for today's 28 laps of action. We've got most of the usual suspects in the front few rows. We've got Blaine Saylor, who's had an incredible run of form this season with several wins to his credit already. He lines up on the pole with Santi Messi, his teammate, alongside him. So Team Duke in a very good position early on in this race. Curtis Stevenson, a points leader. He has had top 5s in every race this season, bar one, which was last time out at the Springfield Mile. And he's got Angel Gutierrez alongside him. Great opportunity for the 72 team as he pulls double duty this weekend. He's going to hop a jet over to Milwaukee in a little bit once this race is over to do the Nitro National race there. And Christian Van Heerden, highest of the Fingai Saitomi teammates this week. His first opportunity on a road course in the Truck Series. This is what he was built for. I'm very excited to see what that 22 car can do in this race especially. But on the flip side, you've got his teammate, AF Walsh, who is the defending series champion after all. He had a really rough time of it in qualifying. He is going to start shotgun on the field today. We'll see how much ground he can make up, because this is not a place where you can make a lot of passes very easily.
No, it is not. A lot of road courses can be that way. Others, you can make some passes, but with this again being a new track for most of the field, if not all of them, Walsh has got a lot of work to do. And honestly, if there's one person that could do it, it's somebody who's already got the biggest trophy that the series can offer. But he has a lot of drivers to pass, and quite a few of them are just as determined as he is to head up toward the front.
I believe the only driver in the field today with past Portland experience in 1UP competition is the 88 of Brandon Beal. He ran a superstar race here once, all those years ago, but he starts down in 18th. Curious to see if that experience will work in his benefit today. But with that being said, we've got 42 trucks ready to take on the twists and turns of Portland, and we're ready to bring you that action now. The 1UP Turbo Truck Series back in action, and it is all coming at you live in just a short while, so stay tuned for that. It is going to be a good one. We've got the trucks back in action here at Portland. It is Team Duke teammates on row 1, Saylor and Messi on the front row, leading us to the first road course of the season here in the Turbo Truck Series. The field slowly getting the grips with the trucks. They're starting to accelerate, I believe, right about now. There they go. We're underway at Portland. And it's the Team Duke teammates, Linus Stern, side by side, going into the hard braking zone of the chicane at turn 1. Who is going to get the advantage first? Saylor looks as though he's going to have to tiptoe his way through, but Messi clouded the curb on the apex. That's going to allow Saylor to get right back around him as the rest of the field starts to make their way through as well. Everybody through cleanly, and it should be Saylor out in the lead of this race as we make our way through the opening few corners.
Yes, we go through the field here and head back up toward the front. Clean start for everybody here. We got to look at Derek Hamilton and Johnny De Lorenzo, and now back up here, and Messi goes up to the lead. That's exactly what. Well, both Team Dude trucks were looking for this. I mean, obviously Messi looking to do it more than his teammate, given what we've talked about with Sailor, but this is a good launch for the three.
Yeah, and Messi needs this. He's yet to go to victory lane this season. Sailor, of course, has been there already 3 times, so this is as good a time as any for Santi Messi to assert himself as a force to be reckoned with at that Team Duke organization, because Duke has said it himself. One of these guys is going to have a date with the Nitro National Series in 2027, if everything goes well. Who will it be? We're going to find out at the end of the year, but for now, it's the 2 teammates in solid formation as we brake hard once again for the Turn 1 chicane.
And this time, not a lot of side-by-side up front, although Sailor looks to be making a peak, but he's not close enough, and of course, would have been on the wrong side going into the next turn, so Messi continues to lead as we continue on into lap 2.
And making our way through this long twisting sequence of corners at the start of the lap, probably the slowest average speed you'll find anywhere on the lap at Portland. Braking hard for the right-hander coming up in just a short moment. There it is. And Messi continues to hold the lead. Sailor's trying to fend off the likes of the 98 of Stevenson behind him, but so far we've got a very tightly contested battle at the front of the field. All these guys are not really spreading out quite as much as we normally see on these road courses, so good for them to be able to keep a competitive edge over the rest of them. As we take a look further back, see where your favorite driver is running still in this race's infancy. We've got a battle between Samantha Jade and RJ Bishop you can look at right here, with Austin Scott right behind them. And further back, there's Brandon Beal. We talked about him a little bit ago in the 88, trying to put his experience in the field to good use. And right there is the 62 of Alan Muccioli. Cal Farrell drove this truck for the first portion of the year. Now, with Vice Valley Motorsports closing their doors, Muccioli has slid over to the Craigo Autosport team in this Circle K 62. He's going to try and make the most of it. He started this race down in 20th, and I think finishing there or thereabouts would be a very solid first day at the office for this 62 team.
I have no doubt about that as we continue to follow him with Vince Freeze and Fitzwater Australia 81 behind him. Muccioli's definitely just looking to have a clean day here as we look back at the 88 again and move back further through the field, looking at Ferris Freeze. Muccioli just wants to have a good day here, and that's really all I think that Craigo Autosport team owner Jacob Craigo will have to be happy with it.
Yeah, I think it's too much to ask of him to go out and win a race right off the bat, but if he can bring it home in one piece, preferably in the top 20, he's running 22nd right now, but who knows what will happen in the remainder of this race. We'll just have to wait around and see. But looking further back, even still, we've got this battle for 24th place between Nicolas Santiago in the 56, William Ayers in the 11, and team owner David Wells of that Phantom Fury team has expressed his interest in adding another truck to that organization for 2027. I'm curious to see who they're going to get for that to presumably join Santiago back there. But back in the weeds of it, as we say, in the high 20s, Jesse Turner's back here trying to make an impression. Noah LeBlanc in the 85. Ramashko, good to see him back in the field. Same with Benjamin Snyder. But the Razorback teammates, this is a little bit of a surprise to see them this far down the order. Jeremy Frey down in 30th. Ryan Vasquez, his teammate, down in 32nd. Something. They might have missed the setup here. Same with the 91 of KJ Hayes as we look to see there is Lee Muse in that new-looked 16 truck for the remainder of this year. Nice to see Muse having a decent day, all things considered. But right behind him is AF Walsh. He's climbed up a handful of spots in the opening few laps. Good start for the defending champion.
And we've got a lot more work to do as the field spreads out. You see the gap between him and Muse there as we continue to look at that beautifully done 16 truck. Craigo Autosport actually did a lot of new looks for the remainder of this season, and I gotta say, the designers did a really nice job there as we continue looking back here at Walsh.
Yeah, Walsh started this race in 42nd position. He's since climbed up to 36th, so let's hope the O2 can keep climbing up the order as best he can, because he needs all the points he can get at this point in the year. We only have a handful of races remaining in the race to the chase, and Walsh, he's in a good points position, but he knows how hard it is to keep that good position when he's running down in 36 like this. So hopefully Walsh can find his way up the order before too long. As we look behind him, we've got Clayton Sessom in the field in 37th, Zach Fry, and behind him, a few guys we don't see very often in the series due to qualifying being the way it is. I see Samad Ozkin back there. I see Brantley Gage in the 57 was back there battling. As you see the blue Honda of Brantley Gage behind the Mercedes of Samad Ozkin, Zach Fry in the 5 ahead of them. So we got some good guys in the field that we like to see in the field, even if it's hard for them to get there sometimes. This is valuable experience for those drivers, and especially those fledgling teams trying to get a foothold in this series.
Absolutely, and it's a great deal for Oskin here as he tries to follow in the fire tracks of Fry, though he gets a little wide there. That opens the door for the 57, and you see behind that Audrey Anzac having a slightly abnormal day herself, which is, as we look here, not exactly great, but if she can keep the truck clean, then it won't be a horrible experience.
But I am especially surprised to look behind her. See that 99 back here, Dennis Kudryashov. He is normally a very good road course racer. So either they missed the setup on this 99 quite badly, or they just had a rough qualifying that they haven't been able to recover from yet, or both. Because this 99, we expect to see at the sharp end of these races, turning left and right. And by my calculations, he is down in about 41st place, which is very bad news for this 99. We know this team's going away at the end, the end of the year. So for Kudryashov, he needs to put in exceptional performances to try and get a look from other teams.
And we see the 24 here of Mayhew bringing up the rear of the field. Again, just logging laps. A lot of these teams, that's what they want to do. Take full advantage of the fact that it was a 42 truck entry list here, and I believe at the next race out at Canadian Tire. So they're going to do all they can to take advantage of this, get some points that they've been missing all this time. And what maybe running shotgun on the field isn't the best as we go back up to the leaders and see things are settling out a little bit there. Back on those teams, every point you can get, it doesn't matter if you run dead last, it's still points you didn't have when you were missing races before.
And meanwhile, looking at the battle for the lead, you see Santi Messi. He's actually pulled out a little bit of a margin over Blaine Saylor in the 08. But Curtis Stevenson's keeping these two honest, it has to be said, from third position. Gutierrez doing a solid effort for Roberts Racing up in fourth. And Van Heerden in the 22. I'm a little surprised to see that 22 still down in fifth place, considering the pedigree of road course talent that he has. The Flying Dutchman, we like to call him in the Turbo Truck Series. He is very good at turning left and right. He demonstrated that last year in the Modifieds at Lime Rock Park, and this is his first road course appearance in the Truck Series. If he's going to be disappointed with with just a top 5 finish, that means big things are ahead for him, as we have the Canadian Tire in a couple weeks.
Absolutely, as you look behind him, you got Elias Bershi there with that one racing team. He's having a good solid day so far, and it goes without saying that that whole organization has been looking for good runs across the board in one-up competition, and seeing the 13 up there in the top 10, I see a problem for Oskin. This is definitely not what we wanted to see. We were rooting for him, even if he wasn't doing the greatest.
Yeah, and you hate to see it for the Labyrinth Racing team with Samad Ozkin at the helm. It looks like he is going to get back out on the racetrack, which is good news, even if he is now quite a ways behind the rest of the pack. Maybe he can put in some decent laps, and if this is the one and only pit stop he has to make today, that could put him in a somewhat decent position. He's now a minute behind the leaders, who should be ranging up behind him any minute now. There they are. So Ozkin's not too far ahead of the leaders. Hopefully he can stay ahead of them, and hopefully even drive away.
That's the thing you got to hope for. Like we said, it always hurts when you have to pit and then you come out of pit lane and there's leaders, especially on a road course when on most of those you have plenty of time to deal with whatever the issue is. And judging from the looks of things, it might have been a tire issue on the two, but he'll still be able to get some laps and be able to have a hope at a decent finish, especially because roughly the halfway point, if not just past it, there is expected to be a pit stop.
And if that is the case, and we do see pit stops around the halfway point, then we should expect Oskin back on pit road, because if the math is mathing correctly on this one, Oskin will not be able to make it to the checkered flag from here, unless he does some Herculean amounts of fuel saving, which could cost him time and put him behind the leaders, and that's not something you want in any circumstance. But it looks as though he's doing a good job driving away from these guys on his fresh rubber. There he is. You see him at the top of your screen, just crossing the line there. But so far, it's been Santi Messi leading the entirety of this race so far. All 9 laps he's been out in front for, with his teammate Blaine Saylor playing wingman the entire time.
Saylor would rather be in the lead, but I think he's got to be proud of the fact that his teammates making an effort to join him with having win in the win column this year, as we see Oskin flash by in the foreground. Stevenson continuing to keep the 08 honest. And you got Gutierrez again. He's going to be bouncing from here to his next nitro race, but after this is over. But a good run for that 72 team. It's been a great run for that truck with so many different drivers. I mean, it's been to victory lane this year with different drivers. So I think Gutierrez would be happy to be the next one to do just that.
Yep, and he's been to victory lane in this series before, I believe, so it wouldn't be unfamiliar territory for Gutierrez. However, for now, he has to watch his fellow countryman, Santi Messi, lead the race instead. And he's done that pretty much since the drop of the green flag, except for that opening chicane that Saylor got ahead for. But making our way to the end of lap 10 now. You got the entire top 5 still within 2.5 seconds of each other, which for a road course race in these cars is pretty solid work, has to be said. And you see Van Heerden actually picked up a couple tenths on Messi. Maybe the 3 is slowing the pace down to try and make it to that pit stop in a little bit, but it's actually showing quite well because Messi is getting caught by the likes of Saylor and Stevenson behind him, and even Gutierrez and Van Heerden aren't that far behind. You look at Bershey back there, Logan Jones in the 66, 2 of the Stormbreak trucks are up here, so overall, this is I know they're single file, fairly spaced apart, but it's not as spread out as it usually gets here on these road courses, and that's good to see.
And I'm sure that's something that a lot of these drivers are happy to see, especially, like, Stevenson, Gutierrez, Van Heerden. They're happy to not see the Team Duke boys going and running off with this thing, because that would be very disheartening to see not just one driver from one team, but 2 drivers from the same team run off and steal 1-2 from flag to flag.
And of course, we said that earlier. We said it at the top of the show. One of those 2, or possibly even both, if everything goes their way, they could be on their way to the Nitro National Series next year. So every good run they have in this series is basically an audition to get that Nitro National ride. If it were me in Duke Ansak's shoes, I would probably give the nod to Blaine Saylor on the run of form he's had. But Santi Messi's demonstrated in this race that he can easily command a race from the front of the field. So Ansak's in a really tough position. He's going to have to promote one of his 2 drivers. I'm curious to see later on in the season who he ends up going with. As we look here to see the CarQuest Mercedes of Johnny DiLorenzo running in the 8th position, not that far ahead of his own teammate, Alex Sanfatau, who had a very strong showing in a Superstar debut a little while back on the streets of Dubai. Strong showing from there, and an even better showing from him in the trucks where he normally races each week.
And this is good for the team. Putting the order cap on for a second. We really need this. Still trying to figure out what's going on with the 11 of Airs, but as long as he can bring it home in one piece, that'll be fine. One person I got to note, sandwiched between my 2 drivers, Derek Campbell there at 9th, having a real good run there for his team in the 59 truck.
And it's been made quite apparent for Derek Hamill in that 59 that he is off to the Nitro National Series in 2027. So he wants to make the most of his remaining opportunities in these trucks. So going to be interesting to see. He's doing a good job today in 9th position. He started this race up and thereabouts. He actually he's running exactly where he started. Started 9th and he's still there. So good run from Derek Hamill, all things considered, and this is going to help him into a possible chase position by the end of the regular season, and that's something he really wants to get.
Yeah, as we take a look at the scoring here, see Oskin's situation notwithstanding, there's quite the gap between 1st and 41st there. So this field is really, I mean, it doesn't look like it looking at the top 5, top 10, but if you look at the overall field, even if you, especially if you include the two, this field has really stretched out here around this circuit.
And that's got to be annoying to the likes of Christian Van Heerden, who is still stuck in 5th position, hasn't been able to get by Angel Gutierrez yet. But for Elias Bershi, this is going to be music to his ears that everybody's strung out like this. He's not under any threat from Logan Jones behind him, and while he's not really threatening Van Heerden ahead of him, this is a pretty solid position for Bershi to be running in. He's no slouch on the road courses either, and he is far exceeding the expectations of that race team. I believe he entered this race pretty close to the chase if he wasn't already there to begin with, so this is going to really help him and be a real underdog story going into the rest of the regular season.
Absolutely, and he's one position higher than where he started right now. He started in 7th place, currently running 6th, ahead of the man who started 6th, Logan Jones. So good one here as we look at the 28. This team has been looking for a decent run. I mean, top 10s would be better, but clean trucks and a top half of the field finish would certainly be something that he and his teammate would be looking forward to as we continue looking back through the field once again.
Yeah, I don't think Cale Tesco Jr. is going to be quite happy, though, with just a finish of the race in the mid-pack. He wants his trucks up at the front, fighting for top 10s at the minimum, especially racing for victories when possible. Mitchell Carter got a win last year at Homestead, but other than that, it has been tough goings for that race team. I really hope they find a turnaround when we hit the Canadian Tire, because Tescar's been questioning a lot of things as of late, and I for one, really hope he sticks it out for the long term, because Carter and Weaver are very good drivers. They just need a big break, and it could come at Canadian Tire. We'll have to wait and see. But for right now, it's what they're dealing with in this race, and they're going to have to make the most of it, as we have just crossed halfway in this race.
Halfway, which means one more lap, and Messi can lock up the most laps led. But that potential looming pit stop could really shake things up. We've seen it before, but we've also seen things not quite change at all, especially on the road courses. So, really looking forward to seeing what could happen if they do dive to pit road.
And honestly, at this point, if they can pit at any point from here on out and make it to the end. So it's just a matter of deciding when to do it. For Messi, I'm sure he'd like to lock up the bonus point before he comes to pit road, but if he decides to come now, there's no shame in doing that either. It looks like he is going to tough it out another lap, get that bonus point. Actually, those 2 bonus points locked and secured for Santi Messi as he crosses the line to start lap 16. Those points are his now. So Messi's got 3 bonus points in his pocket that no one can take away from him now. And as we enter the second half of this race fully and proper, I notice that it's starting to get, these gaps are actually pretty stagnant since the last time we checked. It's still about 3/4 of a second back to Blaine Saylor, as the top 5 still within 2.5 seconds, which they were earlier on. So it's a bit of a stalemate out in the front of the field, which I'm sure is really annoying Van Heerden to no end. He'd love to get up there and challenge the Team Duke guys, but if he's like I said earlier, if he's going to be disappointed with a 5th place, that's boding really well for his other road course races later this year.
Absolutely, and as we take another look through the field here, the gap, we look at the intervals between 5th and 6th has grown a bit, but it's really starting to stretch out from 6th on back, and the 13 of Bershi back to the 31 of San Vital. So the top 5 is still in pretty good form as we head into what should be the pit cycle, which we might be seeing that here shortly. So it's really interesting. Going to be interesting to see how this all works out. And could it make the gap larger? Could it shrink it? We've seen it happen in various ways.
As we now take a look at the 55 here, Tanner Browning, a lot's been made about the situation regarding Breeding Enterprises and their organizational struggles this season, but we got both their trucks in the top 20 currently, which is very nice. That's good to hopefully get them up into the top 30 when we head to Canadian Tire, even if they don't really need it. But it's going to bode well for them when we get to races where there will be pre-qualifying, and that's going to be a big deal for everybody involved there as well. Looking back here at AF Walsh, he still has not made a whole lot of headway in this race. He's only gained one more spot since we last checked in on him. We're closing in on 10 to go.
That's because of Oskin's pit.
Yeah, he's still down in 35th position, and that is not good news for AF Walsh. If there's any instance of tire fall off in this race, I would want him, if I were his crew chief, to jump into the pits at the earliest opportunity, preferably on this lap, to get fresh tires, full tank of fuel, and send him on his way to hopefully undercut a whole ton of people who waited an extra lap.
Undercut could certainly be a strategy for him, but honestly, if he and his crew can come up with a strategy that advances him to at least enough positions that the damage done to his points position heading into this race, then it might not be as big of a loss, but it's still going to be a tough pill to swallow if he can't find some way to rebound from this.
It looks like I saw some takers on the pit road. Oh yeah, we got lots of them on pit road this time around. I'm curious to see, were the leaders among them? There's Jesse Turner getting fresh tires on that Ford. KJ Hayes, William Ayers, they're already on their way out. But were the leaders among those guys that came down pit road? We've got a ton of takers at the back of the field. But yeah, it looks like the Team Duke cars made a pit stop, because look, there's Curtis Stevenson, and he is now the race leader ahead of Van Heerden, so it looks like Gutierrez also made a pit stop. So the new top 3, Stevenson, Van Heerden, Jones, with DiLorenzo and Wells rounding out the top 5. Bit of a anonymous race for David Wells, it has to be said. But look at this, AF Walsh, he stayed on the racetrack this time. He was not taking the undercut strategy. He might try and go for an overcut, although I don't know how well that's going to work considering how hard it is we've seen to make passes around here.
And we see those who stayed out. You see Stevenson, Van Heerden, Jones, DiLorenzo, they're all making their stops here. So I figure this is kind of the split strategy we're getting here. One half, or more than half in this case, came in, and then the rest came in the next lap. So it's going to be interesting to see. Can Stevenson hold on to this, or will Messi take the lead back? We're about to find out.
I would be very surprised if Messi didn't get the lead back, considering the tire fall off I would expect to see at a place like this. But we'll see. Stevenson's on his way out of the pits right here. Wells actually gets a really good stop. He's going to get out ahead of both Van Heerden and Jones. I think I saw a flash go by, and there's your leaders right there. Messi. Stevenson's actually going to he's going to get out just ahead of the 3. Everett Adder, he's going to be really close. But yeah, no. Stevenson is going to clear for the lead. So the overcut did work for the 98. He is now clear of Santi Messi, with Gutierrez now running 3rd. So you're right. Those pit stops have really shaken up the running order, as we now have 10 laps to go in this race.
And even better, Hershey was 6th going into this. It looks like he's come out of this in 4th. So this is going to be a real great day for that number 13 at that one racing team as we wait for the things to cycle out at the next run across the start-finish line. Looking at Muccioli and Anzac again.
Yeah, I think the 62 must have had a really rough time on pit road, because he was running either just inside or just outside the top 20, and now he's barely hanging on to a position on the lead lap. So this is not good news for Muccioli's debut race with Craigo Autosport. I'm hoping he has a good day going forward, as it looks as though we've had our first retirement in this race as well. That being the 25 of Samantha Jade, who didn't really have a good race going anyway. Started this race, of course, in 16th place, so she was having a decent showing, at least by my recollection. But now a mechanical issue has put her out of the race, our first retirement. Tough to see for the New England Cruisers team, but hopefully they'll be able to rebound at Canadian Tire next time out. I'm very excited, though, to see what Curtis Stevenson can do. Now that he's in clean air, if Santi Messi can get back past him, or if the 98 can start to take off again.
Well, that's gonna be the interesting factor. We saw the 98 stuck behind the Team Duke drivers, and we see it here. It went from Messi, Sailor to Messi in second, and Sailor down to seventh. This top 10 has shuffled quite a bit, but two positions I noticed that did not change from pre to post pit stop: Hamill and Sam Vital. They did not lose anything. De Lorenzo lost a few spots, but he's still right there, and Monaco still hanging in there just outside the top 10 as well.
And that shouldn't really come to much of a surprise for Eric Monaco. He usually qualifies pretty rough, but he makes his way up through the field very nicely. And today, he actually had a decent qualifying run in 11th place. So, overall, everything's looking good for that outfit. But right now, we're looking here. Curtis Stevenson still got a lead, but it's not that big. It's actually just got a little bit bigger. Hold that thought. Over Santi Messi, Austin Scott, you see rounding out the top 20 ahead of Jesse Turner. But I'm curious to see how the rest of this one pans out, because Stevenson's got a really good shot now. I'm looking at the rest of the top 10. Wells moved in at the expense of the 10 of Di Lorenzo. I'm curious if anyone else fell out in the process to make way. But AF Walsh has made up a couple more places as well, up into the 29th spot. I'm sure that's still not where he really wants to be, but all things considered, considering he started this race in last, a pickup of about 12, 13 spots, that's a really good day, and he still has enough time to pick up a few more.
Absolutely. And we were looking at William Ayers there ahead of the 88 of Beal. He leapfrogged a few spots there, that being Ayers, and he needs a decent finish. And I'm not just saying that as his team owner. I'm saying that as with the statistics show that he really needs this. So that's going to be if he can hang in there, that's going to be a good day for him. As we see Oskin still hanging out just ahead of the leaders, though not dead last in the field anymore, thanks to the 25 retiring, as Stevenson continues to lead.
And we're into the final 7 or so laps of this race. Stevenson's just got to manage his stuff out front. He doesn't have a road course win yet in his career. Of course, he only has the one. I believe that came back at Las Vegas earlier this season. So he's got to win on the intermediates. He's yet to win on a road course, though, and he's had some pretty strong showings on these road courses in previous years, especially with Robbers Racing, where he usually raced up until this year. Speaking of Robbers Racing, Angel Gutierrez on the podium right now in 3rd place. Pretty solid effort for the 72, coming off their win at the Springfield Mile with Ricky Lafleur driving. We should expect to see Lafleur back behind the wheel at Canadian Tire, but for now, Gutierrez is doing a really strong job, has to be said. He's normally pretty good on these types of tracks too, but he can't afford to get too comfortable, because once this race is over, he's hopping on the nearest plane and flying off to Milwaukee to challenge once more for a Nitro National Series chase spot.
And that's going to be real interesting to watch. I mean, there are several drivers there looking for chase spots in Nitro. Of course, same thing here. It's going to be real. It's been a real interesting thing to see, even with some of the early dominance of some teams like, Fingai Saitomi and others, especially up there at Nitro, as we see Hamill trying to make a move on the 66 of Jones.
Yeah, Jones had a poor exit out of the final corner, and that compromised him down the entire straightaway, so good to see him hold the position, though, at least, so he's got that going for him. But Gutierrez, I believe this is his only scheduled truck start for the year. So if he wants to make an impression, mission accomplished on that front. He's gone ahead and done that. And he should, because he's in prime contention for that 66 car in the Superstar Series next year. Because Miles Mashburn's got a big decision to make over at Robbers to see which of his 3 Nitro drivers will get the nod. Paul Villalobos has got to be a good front runner for that, considering his Superstar win at Hillside. But Riley Hooper and Gutierrez both have put in some strong performances. I believe they've all gotten at least one top 10 with that car. So it's going to be a tough choice for Mashburn to make. Hopefully he does the right thing. He'll do the right thing regardless, because all of those drivers are superb. But we'll have to wait and see, because he loves to leave his decisions till very late. But back to the race at hand, David Wells looks like he's starting to hold up the likes of everyone behind him, especially his teammate Van Heerden, because look, you see he's fallen 2 seconds off the back of Bershey in 4th. I'm curious, maybe Wells is a bit higher than where his car should be, because he was running like 15th most of the day, and now he's up in 5th. He's now, okay, hold that thought. He's down to almost 4 seconds behind Bershey now, so that he had a really poor lap on that last time around. Either he's got a problem with the truck, or I don't know what else it could be, because that 92 just lost a lot of time in one lap alone.
Yeah, it's wild to think about. No, I mentioned Fingeist and Tommy doing really good across the board. This has been a mostly uncharacteristic day for that team. I mean, the results are going to show better than where Wells was running if he can hold on there. But honestly, I think he'll be proud to be able to hold on, even if he annoys the likes of his teammate Sailor and others. But looking at here, we see the two teammates that were ganging up on RJ Bishop. One has launched himself away from the 52. Now can we see the 28 do the same?
I would certainly hope so, because Mitchell Carter is not the kind of guy who wants to be stuck back there for too much longer. Like we said earlier, Cale Teskar Jr. does not want to see his trucks this far down the order, even if, by all things considered, they're having a solid day at the office. Solid days at the office are not enough for Cale Teskar Jr. anymore. He wants to see his guys up front winning races and taking names, and right now they're not really doing much of that in this season, so hopefully they can right the ship soon, because they really need it. Right now, though, we only have 4 laps to go in this race. Time's really flown by when you think about it. We've been having a lot of fun covering all sorts of stories in the Turbo Truck Series field and elsewhere, but up at the front, Curtis Stevenson's starting to eke out a lead on Santi Messi. He's had it ever since the pit stops, and now, for the first time all day, the lead is over a full second.
Yeah, and it took pit stops and a lead change for that to happen, but, you know, I don't think Stevenson's going to care, especially if he can take that checkered flag well ahead of the 3 and the 72, but I still got to give props to Bershey there in 4th, even though he's fallen about 2.5 seconds back from the 72. He's got a nice, comfy cushion back to Wells, who's still holding up a whole bunch of drivers here. Currently only 3, but it could grow if it keeps happening.
It very well could, and that's very good to see for, like I said, a real underdog story in the chase picture. As you see, Mitchell Carter did get past RJ Bishop eventually. He's up another position, as we now have 3 laps to go. And we're going back to I'm going back to what I was talking about earlier with Curtis Stevenson. He really needs a run like this as well, because you got to keep in mind as well, Express Motorsports, they're not sticking around after this season. With Ben McDonald running the team in the interim, that team is going to close its doors at the end of the year, which is going to leave Stevenson and Brandon Beal and Kadria Shaw in the 99. They're all going to be out of rides. And for Ben McDonald, he's also going to have a choice to make to see which of these drivers, if any, he decides to keep in his program. And if I were him, I would be really looking at this Curtis Stevenson character for a Nitro National ride next year. He has demonstrated his ability. He's won a race already this season. He's on pace to win another. And with Ben McDonald having a vacancy in his Nitro program next year, I'd love to see Stevenson get the nod. Brandon Beal also deserves an opportunity at a good team. It's going to be tough decisions for a lot of important people, as Curtis Stevenson takes 2 laps to go in this race with a 2.5-second lead.
That's absolutely amazing. The lead change, the differences in gap and lead. Granted, it was teammates 1-2 versus non-teammates now, and you see Walsh still just plugging along, doing everything he can. He's basically in points damage control, as Freeze is losing some spots here, starting with fighting with Santiago in the 56.
Yeah, that's a little surprising, because Vince Freeze is another driver I rate very highly. He's had a strong start to the year, all things considered, but a bit of an off day today for the Fitzwater team as a whole, so hopefully they can right the ship heading to Canadian Tire. They're going to need
it. It looks like he managed to actually defend that spot I thought he was losing.
I'm noticing a lot of guys are facing a lot of fall off in this race, especially the 92, who's now over 11 seconds behind the leader. So something must have gone horribly wrong for Wells in his efforts to keep his tires intact, because that truck is holding up everybody behind him, and it's really showing. But for Curtis Stevenson, I think it's not going to matter too much to him, as we're going to get ready to take the white flag in just a short while here. And for Stevenson, this is going to be a big one for him. It'll be his first road course win, and it's going to be well earned. There's the white flag. We're on to the final lap. Stevenson's well on his way now.
As we look at Messi, who wishes that the 38 wasn't ahead of him and he had just taken it in the lead, but it's gonna take a miracle on his end for that to change now. And honestly, I would have to say I wouldn't get out the celebration hats just yet, but get them ready, Express Motorsports, because Stevenson is on his way.
Absolutely, and a lot of guys are falling off big time. Wells and Bishop, I think, are the worst examples of their tires just biting the dust already. But for Curtis Stevenson, our focus has to go on him now. He's heading down the back straightaway for the final time today, and he put on a great strategic call. Waiting a lap to pit was the right decision. It was a less crowded pit lane, and he made the most of it, and now he's only a couple corners from home. Through the final sequence of corners for the final time today, it's going to be a second career win for Curtis Stevenson, and it's going to put him right back into the thick of things. After a DNF at Springfield, he rebounds in a nice way. It's Curtis Stevenson getting the job done here at Portland. Excellent job from the 98 to get career win number 2. Messi across the line in second. What could have been for him? Still a strong performance, though. And Gutierrez is 1 for 1 in podiums this season, and I don't think that's going to change. This was his only start planned. Bershey, 4th, 8 seconds back. And then you go back to David Wells, who does manage to hold off everybody behind him. For 5th, Van Heerden 6th in his road course debut in the trucks. Not a bad day, all things considered. Sailor fell to 7th at the end. That's not going to be what he wanted to see by any means. Logan Jones 8th, Derek Hamill 9th, and Alex Sanvital completes the top 10 for Stormbreak Motorsports. That's a good day at the office for the 31 team. And there's AF Walsh across the line. I don't think he gained a whole ton of spots after we last checked in on him. He's probably going to finish in the high 20s. But all things considered, it really could have been a lot worse for that OT2 team. No doubt about that.
Oh, absolutely. As we see the final stragglers of the field making their way across the line here, including Oskin, just logging laps is about all you can do at this point. Not going to be absolute minimum points initially, but still, again, every point matters for teams like this who haven't been able to make all the races, as we see the 98 going on a pit road to celebrate.
Yeah, and he's earned it. What a great job by Curtis Stevenson today, all things considered, in this one. But as the field pulls down pit lane at the end of the 1UP Turbo Truck Series inaugural appearance at Portland, we've got a little unfinished business to address. We had one retirement in this race, that being the 25 of Samantha Jade. We didn't really see what happened to her. We're about to change that now, however, because a lot has happened to that 25 in this race. Our only retirement, of course, that's to be expected. But we're going to get you a look at that in just a short moment now, and then we'll give a few remarks and close out the day. But until then, we'll give you a quick look at what happened to the 25, because that was not good for her championship season as a whole. So Samantha Jade was running pretty mid-pack, all things considered, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, oh yeah, the smoke starts pouring out from behind the 25. Looks like it happened right as the field was coming to pit road. So I'm not sure if it was a downshift gone wrong, or if it was a different problem with the engine that was taking place the entire time. But either way, very bad news for the 25 team.
The only good news is the timing there, which, not a lot to say there. So real stinks for them. So for the whole team.
But with that, another 1UP Turbo Truck Series race is in the books. I am very happy with how that turned out. And now we look ahead to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, where another road course awaits, another fast and flowing road course awaits. That is going to be a good one. I hope you'll join us for that one. We'll have to wait and see who comes out on top in Bowmanville, Ontario. But with that being said, from James Ellison, from myself as well, thank you for joining us for a big day of racing at Portland. We'll see you again in a few weeks' time. A big congratulations are in order, though, for Curtis Stevenson. Gets his second career win, his second win of the season, and he is on pace now to have a really good year in the trucks and hopefully warm himself up for maybe a berth in the Nitro National Series field for 2027 as well.